With a few bumps in the road, we made it live. Hopefully on YouTube. You never know. What's up, guys? We are back. It is Tuesday, and we're having a rare FOMC minutes review publishing on Tuesday. This I don't know if it's ever actually happened on Tuesday before in my memory. Typically, we have the FOMCs and the minutes released on Wednesday. Today it's Tuesday. Maybe they wanted to do it before the last day of the year. I don't really know why that would matter, but hey, at 2 p.m., it is currently 1:34. In about 30 minutes, we will have those FOMC minutes for us live. And we will break them down with the help of AI, and we will try to find any context, any tone, dovish or hawkish, any of the background behind closed doors thinking that we get during these minutes. They do tend to be dry. We try to make them a little better. Sometimes, though, we do actually get some really good stuff. So in the previous FOMC this month, it not only was the last one of 2025, it was the third to last one that Chair Powell will ever do for us. Unfortunately, Chair Powell will be leaving us in May of 26 as the chairman. He will stay on the board, I believe, until July of 28, but his days of chair will end with the April meeting. And so December, we did have the end of quantitative tightening and not exactly a beginning of quantitative easing the way we would imagine it, but the end of quantitative tightening, a very important measure for all markets. Basically, the Fed is putting an end to removing liquidity, and as that flow stops, we do expect it to reverse over time into quantitative easing, meaning injecting liquidity into the markets. And many of us, a lot of you out there, have been hoping, praying that this is the catalyst you need for your portfolio, and God knows, me too, please. While there won't be any changes today, we will get insight on what was the factors behind those changes, the likelihood of changes coming in January. I think it's January, February, April are the meetings. I'll have to look at that. In the first quarter of next year, we will also get some insight on the 25 cut we got earlier in December, which doesn't seem to really be interesting markets, at least the crypto market, largely unfazed by it. We'll get some insight into, the Fed schedule, how they view the first few months of next year, and likely what factors they're looking for, especially with the lack of data that they always have, but specifically had here in December. I think that these minutes are going to have some important information and tidbits for us. So we do have plenty of time. We went live a little bit early. So what should we do? Should we check out the Bitcoin chart? We can probably look at some metals. We can look at the dollar, look at stocks. Unfortunately for Bitcoin, nothing has changed. I feel like a broken record here. Bitcoin, virtually the exact same price we left it last time we streamed on Friday. Here we are, 88,000. This is our new home. Incredibly unimpressive price action into the end of the year. You guys, I'm already ready. You prepare your call outs here. I've been looking for an all-time high into the end of this year, and man, we have less than 48 hours to go. Bitcoin not making it look likely. I will give it that. Perhaps it's time to say that my prediction was defeated. At this point, well, might as well follow it through, right? Bitcoin has given us crazy moves and surprises in the past, and this wouldn't be the first time to see a large pump or dump, really, into the end of this year. Remember, 93.3 is the yearly open. If we close below 93.3 in the next 29 hours, Bitcoin will do something that it's never done in my experience. It will close a red candle after painting only 2 green years previous. Now, we've seen 3 green yearlies into a red yearly candle as the 4-year cycle over the last 12 years. And if we fail to move, it's not a huge move, but if we fail to pump about 5% or about $5,000, $5,000, we will close the first red candle in a 4-year cycle. This will definitely draw questions as to the 4-year cycle's legitimacy. If it in fact existed, if it ended last year, there's going to be a lot of interesting analysis to be done going into 2026 either way. I wouldn't discount the year still closing green. I kind of wish it wouldn't, because then then it's just a third green candle, and then we're looking at a red candle for next year, and that's not a really great scenario. But I wouldn't count that out. It's not a big move at all, and I can see this market just shifting in the last hours of the last day back above that 2025 open. In fact, that would be such a small move. It would hardly even be exciting at this point. Bitcoin has remained down after October 10th sell-off. We have seen, at this point, how many days since an all-time high? 85 days since an all-time high. It feels like it's been a year since an all-time high, but 85 days have passed, and Bitcoin has traded down 36% from its high, and now has done basically nothing for 40 days. This is bonkers. As we sold off, we saw interest return. We saw some excitement in the space just because something was happening. Off the bounce into late November, things were pretty interesting there as well. And Bitcoin has done now what it basically has done all year, crushed any kind of excitement in either direction. This range is so brutal. Volatility has dropped not to all-time lows, but to relative, not far from all-time lows, like really, really close. Where do I have 𝐕𝐆𝐍 here? Just a real quick peek. Give you an idea of why this feels so crappy. This is a Bitcoin VIX, or 𝐕𝐆𝐍 24. Into where were we? We're trending up for a little bit. Yeah, from September into October, we saw volatility begin to trend up, and that reversed late November. We are putting lows back down, and while we're not at all-time lows, it kind of feels like it. Prices crunched in a very small range. The all-time low, for those who care, August of 23, was the lowest volatility in Bitcoin history. We're still relatively above that, but man, it doesn't feel like it, right? August of 23, where is this? Right here. This was the lowest volatility ever. Right there. Before we made a move up. There's some hopium. Maybe we're going to go to really low volatility and make a move up. About a 5% range for the last 20 days, my lord. What really feels bad about this is the obvious 4-year cycle entering another year. A bear market is just a really bad feeling concept. I don't think anyone feels great about 2025 when it comes to crypto. We didn't get, we didn't get the move, we didn't get the excitement, and now a whole year ahead of us is a daunting idea that we may just be starting this pain. I don't know what comes next. I have no idea. Nobody knows. We may be entering new territory, and maybe that is a better outlook for next year. On top of all of that, we have AI being the new buzzword, the new shiny thing, and then literally we have shiny things outpacing Bitcoin. Gold, silver, platinum, all having a much stronger year. In fact, everything, I think all kind of broad categories of markets had a better year than crypto and Bitcoin at this point. It's a weird scenario to be in. As someone who is a firm believer in Bitcoin, my faith isn't shaken, but I'm kind of left with the thought of like, what the hell, man? What the heck, man? What are you doing, Bitcoin? I've never been in this position. You've always outpaced everything, and this whole year, you've seemingly done nothing. It is a strange place to be. I caution anyone maybe wavering on their belief from submitting or giving into that feeling. I have full faith that nothing is wrong with Bitcoin. Things will look just like they always have if enough time passes. And maybe even next year we have some kind of return to the norm for Bitcoin. We will find out together. This is some stuff. This is some stuff. So I don't know. There's like my little warm up. I didn't have much planned. We have the minutes coming in about 15. What should we do? I'm sure we can look at gold, silver, platinum. Super low volume. Super duper low volume. Hopefully not my mic. For the market, yeah. Well, this is something that I always say when volume is low. Typically when that's true, price hasn't done anything. Price hasn't done anything. There is no reason that volume would be high here. Price has really just consolidated in its range. It's squeezed. The highs have come down for the most part. The lows have come up, and it's range-bound trading. You're not going to find volume in range-bound trading. When you break the range, you're going to look for volume, and then you can compare that volume and say, okay, this is relatively high volume on this breakout. you know, maybe that's more meaningful. This is relatively low volume on the breakout. Maybe this is a fake out move. But right now, there's no reason for there to be volume. Bitcoin is not doing anything, especially down on really low time frames. Look at these. These just like, it looks like a heart monitor in a hospital, man. It's like a heartbeat. This is wild. Little pumps up, immediately sold off. Little pumps up, immediately sold off. We even saw a little pump today. This one hasn't fully retraced, but this was a pretty quick, I think it was like on a 5-minute. That was yesterday. A little pump right back down. You're not going to find volume here, but you should be watching and waiting for whenever the breakout happens. That volume is going to be much more important and more of an indicator than anything we have going on here. What time is the news? 15, not even 15 minutes, 14 minutes now. Like it up. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Abdab Maz, Sood 8881. If you could, I haven't done anything. I haven't done any shilling. If you could, please hype up the stream a little bit, vote in the poll, put a message in the live chat, share it out, like it, like the stream, subscribe wherever you're watching it. The more you do that, the more we get put into the algorithm. And now is the time that we need to be put into the algorithm, because we are very quickly approaching 200,000 subscribers. But I say very quickly, it seems like we're slowing down as we approach it here into the end of the year. Thanks, market. We are now 305 subscribers away from 200,000. This was definitely on track to happen New Year's Eve. Might be the first now. We'll see. Either way, we're hitting 200,000 in the next, I don't know, 72 hours. Doesn't really matter. But if we could get closer here today, and you can help that out by subscribing, joining our fam, that would be wonderful. It'd be absolutely the best, and I would appreciate you. Who's here today? I do expect that this stream will get a little bit more exciting as things go on, as these notes come out. More of the fam will join. It is the end of the year in this awkward time. A lot of people are off from work. A lot of students are home, not at school. And basically everything feels like it's on pause until January 1st. So it might be a weird stream. But I want to know if you're here today. I want to see who's here. I see Alexandra, Andy, Arnold, Dang, Bayani, Aswin, Bob Saget, Chris Goss, Daniel, Darkside, Dr. Crypto, 𝐒𝐈𝐆𝐍, Floki, 𝐏𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐿, We need some 𝐏𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐿, bro. Please. What is the 𝐏𝐵𝐵𝐾𝐿? Kitty Kush, Keith, what's up, Keith? Coden, I knew you were here, Coden. You're always here. You're my boy. CEO George, how are you doing? Hustle harder than you. Kitty, Chris Pax, how you doing, friend? Crunk, Light is your guide. Manuel Kata, McPooch, my guy McPooch. Cheers, Pooch. Cheers to 2026 to you and everyone. Cheers. May it be a better year than this year. Michael Dada, my guy Steve, Nimoy, still rocking that gold long. I still have mine open. Hey, what's up? Mad Havan, welcome, brother. NJP Finance, Philly Skills. Cheers. I heard that Philly, I don't know if you're actually in Philly, but I heard that hijinks did not go so well. They had some issues. What's up, Rigo? C. Sander Studios, Shrink Tech, Sunchip, Sweet Vanis, Sin. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Tonzi, Vegas Claw, Wealth Row, your owner. That one guy. What's up, that one guy? You're that one guy. What's up, Ryan, Florida man? If you're here, Happy New Year's. I think that's really what we focus on today. That's what we focus on from now until the end of this year. Happy New Year's, man. I'm glad that all of you found this channel and found this community. I wish I knew what was going to happen next year. I wish I could promise you it's going to be an easy, fun, great year. But I don't know. Can't promise you that. But I can promise you that I will be here. Hell or high water, we'll be here. Even if Bitcoin just trades sideways for the next year, we'll be here. I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll be here. May we move into this new year with friends, with family, with love. Maybe it's a blessing that Bitcoin is being slow. Maybe it will give us time and energy to focus on other things in our lives. I don't know, man. Not me. I'll be here. Need the glasses for a pump. All right, put them on. There we go. All right, now pump. Where's the pump? I need the pump. Hell or High Water, great movie. Probably be rough, but worth it. You know, here's kind of a thought that I have right now. 2025, we came in with such huge expectations. I will say somehow we had our expectations higher than the bar for the year it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? For like the fourth year of a bull run, and somehow our expectations were even higher than that. I gotta wipe these off. And the year was a huge disappointment for price action. Maybe, just maybe, we're heading into 2026 with very low expectations. I would say arguably the opposite expectations as 2025. Maybe we'll see the same thing. Maybe we'll have a mix-up. Maybe 2026 will be the year. That'd be cool. That's some good opium. Disappointment of adulthood for millennials? Yeah, bro. Faux show. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say, man. I thought I had big hopes for this. Crazy hopes for this year. Just talk about Monero. That's what we'll do. We'll talk about Monero. Cooked Moon Boy is alive. Yeah. Man. That's how it goes. That is just the market, right? We could sit here and look at Bitcoin, but man, there's nothing going on with Bitcoin. Why? What are we even gonna say about it? Dominance continues its bear flag. Lower highs, higher lows. Crazy how compressed dominance has been. If you look at Bitcoin USD, we can say, man, this has been not that exciting price action. Look at dominance. Dominance has done nothing in like half a year, like 130 days. Lower highs, higher lows. Everyone holding their breath for an alt run or, I don't know, a rally and dominance, just nothing. Mid-year got a little exciting. Dominance started to crash. People were like, yeah, alt season, and then nothing. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Everything seems on pause. Total 3 looks garbage. This looks 𝐒𝐫𝐼𝐍. Kind of interesting that total 3 wick right to October's low. Broke low, rejected. Like, this is looking not so hot. Total, similar. Total really hurting here. Still higher low. I don't know. It's hard to not see it, right? It's like still technically a higher low. A lot of the crappy feeling is based on next year being worse. Gold took all of the thunder. This is gold's year. How did gold do this? 2,500 hit a high recently, 75% up for the year. Like, I wish I owned gold. That long I opened is, man, that actually got a little dangerous there. Came right back to that entry. I have not been monitoring that trade. Gold, I think is still looking good. Definitely want to hold 4,300, back test that all-time high. You broke it, back test it, find support, move higher. I would not be looking to open new positions here at the end of the year, though. That is kind of a crazy idea to me. Yearly candle is going to change, is going to roll over, and I think we can expect some shenanigans. S&P looking to close its year, at all-time high again. Yep, at all-time high again. 6,900 after having a rough April. Closing 17% up. What is going on? It just doesn't feel right. Something is just off, right? Dollar closing the year down 10%. Under last year's under last year's open. That's a bearish engulf on the yearly for the dollar. I probably would not have guessed that. Here's a testament to candlesticks in general. They're not that simple, right? Last year, the dollar closed a beautiful candle, like no top wick, and basically spent the rest of the year just going down. Gotta be careful, especially with a dollar. I've never looked at yearly volatility for this. I guess it doesn't really matter. What was I looking for? Platinum. Here we go. Onto the metals while we have just a few minutes. We're seeing a kind of across the board pullback on metals. Platinum reached a new all-time high last week, now back to 2,200. kind of mirroring gold. I wonder actually what happened on Monday. So yesterday, we saw this across the board. Gold, silver, platinum, all pulled back. I'm not thinking this is the end of their run, but like I said, the new year is coming. I don't think now is the best time to open a position. Probably wait to see how that first quarter starts playing out. Maybe even the first month to make a long-term position. I think a lot of the positions taken here in Q4 are going to unwind in Q1 for metals, whether it's platinum, gold, silver. Profit taking basically, especially into the end of the year. Silver faring the best. 10% drawdown yesterday, but almost back to 79. $83.88. We have one more day of trading. $100 might no longer be on the table for silver, but damn if it didn't have a good run at it. They already traded to 83. I'll be damned. That's crazy. We should do, what do you think? What's the most bullish for next year? That'd be an interesting poll. Let's put a new poll up here. What's the most bullish for 2026? Let's do gold. Oh god, this is gonna hurt. Gold, silver. We'll do Bitcoin and then like other. Oh man. What do you guys think? That's a brutal poll. I'm just gonna live in this misery now. What do you think, guys? Ooh, that's gonna be bad. Silver back to the $40 and under soon. JP Morgan's gonna dump some of that. Maybe. Copper gonna be next? That's a good question. Where is copper? I think it makes sense that copper would continue to all-time highs. We said platinum would. I don't know. What's the ticker for copper? Like, what do people use? Because there's multiple coppers. It's like these copper futures. What? What is this? Why is copper futures so crazy? Like, why? Wait, how is it this crazy? And I haven't heard anyone talk about this. Metal markets are, I don't get them. Copper future. Okay, so then here's another copper futures, and it's not. Sure. Wow, but we have inched up to that all-time high. I did not see this. Good eye. Well. Yup. Sometimes analysis is that easy. Gold and silver broke all-time high. We looked at platinum. Probably going to look to break all-time high because all the metals have. Copper, probably going to look to break all-time high because the other metals have. Here we are at the end of the year, trading within 91 with 4 cents, like 0.1% of its all-time high. What does this mean? Like, silver and gold breaking all-time high are bad enough for economic things, but what does it mean when copper does it, man? Copper is in everything we build. How are we going to build houses like construction? Copper's going to close a better year than us. Son of a bitch. Whoa, copper's going to close 43% up. Wow. Changes, dude, it, like, copper is everything. How can gold, silver, copper, now like chips, RAM, how can all these things go up the way they have and we just not be facing crazy inflation? Copper important for AI? Yeah. Chips use all those metals, right? Don't chips use silver, gold, and copper? Well, electronics. Let me reload. We got just like a minute until the FOMC minutes are published. Your undergarments are made of copper. That's pretty cool. Palladium, platinum. We did look at platinum. I guess I haven't looked at palladium because I think I get it confused with platinum. They're very similar named. What's up, NMCT? Appreciate your $5, man. Copper is 10% less efficient, 90% cheaper than silver. 18 months minimum to switch silver to copper if silver gets too expensive. For what? Switch for what, though? I appreciate your super chat. I genuinely don't know. Wow, palladium actually looks real nice. Look at that back test. Look at this beautiful back test. What is palladium used in? I think my whole life I've confused it for platinum. But look at this awesome back test. Whatever it is, this chart looks juicy. Got a long way to go to that top, though. Maybe that's the play for 26. There's 2 o'clock. The minutes should be published. I just refreshed it. I'll refresh it again. Not quite. You're late, Chairman Powell. Per usual, you're late. That might be a play, though. I like that. Any price below 220 was reasonable for silver. That's how much it costs to recycle 1 ounce of silver. Wouldn't that make like an artificial ceiling in a way for silver? For like 221. But if you can like recycle it, that's like a supply source. There we go. The minutes are complete. Hold up. FOMC minutes. How many pages we got? A nice 19 pager. There's a whole page of just names. People involved. 2 whole pages of names. Okay. So we got 16. Thank God for AI. This is the only thing I use AI for. It's just summarize these. I wonder what happens. I think I tried this before, but it was too long for AI. It was when I was using ChatGPT. I wonder if I can do the whole thing. It definitely will do a worse job this way, but I wonder what even happens if I try. It is super grok after all. How many groks have we had since we started doing this? I'm going to see what it does with the whole thing. But I have a feeling it's going to do a bad job. Let's give it a minute. AI, this kind of summarizing stuff, its strength is absolutely not length. It is so much better with segments. Drop the document in. That's a good idea. All right. All right. That's pretty smart. Let's see if that works. Yeah, you guys teach me new stuff all the time. Boom. Okay. Nice. Drop it. Drop it, drop it. Gold up or down? I think taking a position right now is not a great idea. On honestly almost anything. It's like on almost anything. The year is about to end. If you're going to see a major reversal that by the end of next year might just be like a blip on the radar, the odds of it, or like the probability, I feel like right into opening that next yearly candle is huge. Greater than just any other given random day. Okay. I mean, it's summarizing. I don't know if it'll do the same job, but we'll see. I don't think gold is done, but it might be done for this year. Until next year. Like, holy shit. This was supposed to be the year that we had. What happened to you? What happened to you, gold or Bitcoin? I don't know. Both. January could be his last FOMC. Why? No, guys. It's really easy. I don't know why people have been saying like it's Chairman Powell's last day, like all year. Guys, his last FOMC will be, I think it's April's. of 2026. It's not going anywhere before that. I don't know why people keep falling for this. Like it's every month or every week. It's not going to happen. Why do you think it's going to happen? We've heard it every month, every week. People, the same accounts are like spreading this weird info about it. Mostly because it gets clicks on Twitter. That's why. But no, January is not going to be his last one. It's going to be sad when it is his last one. It's going to be very sad. God, big one. Can't even look at you. All right, let's see. This feels very short. Let's see how it does. The Federal Open Market Committee met on December 9th to discuss economic conditions, financial markets, and monetary policy. The committee decided to lower the federal funds rate target range by 25 BPS, as we know. Initiated reverse management purchases, RMPs, of shorter-term Treasury securities to maintain ample reserves, and removed the aggregate limit on standing repo operations. I forgot about. The decision reflected increased downside risk to employment. Yes, that makes sense. And a shift towards balancing the dual mandate of maximum employment and 2% inflation. Honestly, I honestly feel like the Fed is losing control of both of those things. I feel like unemployment is going up, and I feel like inflation is going up, even though the metrics don't agree. Financial markets and open market operations. Market expectations for the policy rate were stable, anticipating a 25 BP cut at this meeting and 2 more in 2026. So this is big also. Let's stop for a moment here. People are so jazzed on these cuts. The the Fed did exactly what it's basically said it was going to do this year. After because at the end of last year, they were looking for more cuts, and then into this year, I think they revised that down to 4 or 3. Can't even remember now. But they stuck to that plan. Like they stuck to it throughout the year. They stuck to the dot plot. They hit the exact range that they said they would. They cut pretty much the exact amount of times they said they would. Now they're looking at 2 more in 2026. Not 10 more, not every meeting. We're getting hooked on this too. The markets are jazzed on these cuts, even though they're not reflecting it, in my opinion. But they're going to slow down. They're going to pause, or they're going to stop. They're going to stop. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens then. Under their economic outlook, it would be very likely to appropriate to leave rates unchanged for some time out. Yeah, of course. We were talking about that before the last meeting. But their expectations are 2 more cuts into the entirety of the year. So what does that mean? Like 1 cut first half, another cut second half, 2 cuts at the second half? I don't know. This could change depending on what happens with the chair position. But the chair position is not a dictatorship. He doesn't decide what they do. He's just a vote. So while that likely will impact it either way, we gotta temper our expectations here. Treasury yields rose slightly. Whoa, I lost my place. Slightly shorter term inflation compensation declined due to lower energy prices and tariff reassessments, while survey-based expectations remained unchanged. Equity markets were volatile but flat, driven by economic data, policy signals, and AI developments. Large tech firms increased AI-related CAPEX, financed by more debt. All debt. The dollar was stable, money markets tightened with reserves entering the ample range, elevated repo rates, and increased standing repo usage. No cuts next 2 meetings. Yeah, that's my guess. Maybe his last meeting. It's honestly not a bad guess, Stone. Though maybe he'll want to push it off till he's gone. We'll see. But he doesn't get to decide it. Projections showed seasonal reserve declines. Large April 2026 drop due to taxes, prompting recommendations for RMP starting soon, $220 billion net over 12 months per surveys. Suggestions to enhance standing repo effectiveness included clarifying their purpose and removing the $500 billion daily limit. Committee ratified desk transactions unanimously. I don't even know what that means. Oh, repo desk. I got it. Balance sheet issues. Reserves deemed ample based on rising money market spreads and liquidity indicators. Faster EFFR spread increase noted compared to 17 to 19 runoff. Staff highlighted need for SMOA growth to match reserve non-reserve liability trends and seasonal swings. Recommended flexible RMPs and treasury bills. Participants agreed to start RMPs with shorter-term treasuries for rate control. No policy stance implications. Preferences split on front-loading versus repo reliance. Emphasis on defining ample reserves. More precisely, focus on rates versus reserve levels to avoid shifts in demand or excess risk-taking. Agreed to clarify standing repo role and remove aggregate limits. Economic situation. Real GDP grew modestly in 2025, but slower than in 24. Unemployment rose to 4.4 in September with slower payrolls. Labor compensation stable at 3.5 to 3.8. PCE inflation at 2.8 in September, up due to tariff on goods, core services disinflated. Q3 GDP is solid. Private spending slowed. Government shutdown to subtract 1% from Q4 GDP, rebound in Q1 of 26. I wonder if we're going to have another shutdown. I wonder if we're going to have a shutdown in 2026. What do you guys think? Foreign activity below trend. I mean, obviously there would be. Contractions in Mexico, Japan. Headline inflation near targets, some central bank rate cuts. Financial situation. Federal funds path and treasury yields edged up. Inflation compensation fell. Equities flat with low volatility. Corporate spreads low but up. Foreign yields rose on country-specific factors with a stable dollar. Short-term funding tighter. Reserves at $2.9 trillion, down $900 billion since June of 22. Credit available but restrictive for household, small firms. Delinquencies elevated but stable. What do you guys think so far? Heard they're trying to do it again. I don't know how reliable it is. I just have a feeling they will. I'm not even based on anything. Has the FOMC started? So this is the FOMC. These are the minutes. The minutes outline what the Fed did in the previous FOMC's December 10th. It gives us a behind the doors look at their reasoning, their rationale, what they project or predict at the next meetings, etc. Why they came to these conclusions. It gives us background on what we saw on the 10th. And the 10th was a big FOMC. We got many big things related to quantitative tightening, related to interest rate cuts. We had an interest rate cut. Reverse repo, all just like everything. It was a big one, even though it didn't feel like one, and Bitcoin certainly didn't seem to care. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Aaron. Happy New Year's to you, my friend. Short-term bearish. Glad to see they're keeping rates on the high side. I feel like inflation hasn't cooled at all. I feel like and you guys, this is just an opinion. You guys are welcome to disagree. I don't feel as if things have slowed down their pace of getting more expensive. I don't know. I don't see it. It seems to me that the pace of things getting expensive is going up. These numbers have been saying down, and we've been cutting, but cutting is going to lead to inflation, and it doesn't, to me, feel like inflation has stopped. Maybe they're weighing, because unemployment, I believe, is going up, or at least underemployment. Maybe they're weighing that against the inflation and saying, well, that will counterbalance it. I don't know. I don't know, but we're cutting, and I don't feel like inflation has slowed down, and that just leads to more inflation. It's going to be a very weird 2026. What are my examples, Raleigh? Dude, like I said, it's largely an opinion and an observation anecdotally. How about this? In chat, do you feel as if things have slowed down at the pace that they've gotten more expensive? A really great example would be RAM. There you go. RAM prices have more than doubled over the last 3 months. And that is industry specific, but RAM is kind of in everything. You look at gold, metal, silver, now copper looking to break all-time high. That isn't an indication that things will get cheaper. Those are fundamental in industry, in construction. I don't know. I don't think it. I just don't think it's happening. Definitely not. Exactly. I think it's like, can I prove it, or what are my examples? It's, those are valid questions, but at the risk of being a stupid arguer, can you prove the opposite? Like, what has slowed down? Nothing. Everything that I buy has gotten cheaper. You get like a smaller portion for the same amount, or you get a cheaper product for the same amount. What is it that I just bought for Christmas? I replaced something. Shit, what was it? I forget what it was. I replaced something. I got the exact same thing, and it was like maybe a little more expensive for the same price. And the quality of it was so much worse. It was just like cheap, light plastic, as opposed to like a solid thing. I'll think about it. I forget what it was. But it's like, where in the cases of prices that aren't keeping up with like this perceived inflation, the product is just shittier or it's less. It's insane. What was it? It's such a good example. Anyway. Shrinkflation, yeah. Mixed with shitflation, basically. Groceries definitely haven't gone down. Prices aren't increasing at the rate that they were. Yeah, that is the measure of inflation. But I'm saying that I think that hasn't slowed down. I think that the measurements are very weird that are saying it has. But again, it's just my experience, and apparently a lot of you agree. Okay, let's continue. Inflation, but inflation is like an acceleration. Like, inflation doesn't go down. Like, when we say inflation's down, we don't mean it's negative. We just mean that it's year over year, month over month down. I'm arguing that I don't even think that's the case. I don't think so. And I think that everything points to that. Everything points to this year coming up being even more. But let's continue on. Actually, we're almost done because we summarized this a lot better. Okay. GDP growth modestly faster through 2028 than prior forecasts. That's interesting. Looking for a higher GDP growth over the next 3-year period, 2-year period. Supported by financial conditions. Unemployment to decline below neutral rate by 2027. Interesting. Inflation slightly lower in 25 to 26, reaching 2% in 2028. So the Fed is saying that they think we will reach 2% in 2028, or by 2028. Uncertainty is elevated. Now, I will disagree here. I think uncertainty is at the exact same level it's been almost all year. I don't think that it's elevated. Downside risks to GDP or employment. Upside risks to inflation. Persistence concerns. It seems to me like the Fed agrees with me. Yet they're cutting rates anyway. I don't know. Only thing you found cheaper was an iPad or TV. Yeah, maybe like an old iPad or TV.
Unemployment has gone down because instead of going to the unemployment line when they get laid off, they are doing DoorDash and Uber Eats to make ends meet.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I don't think unemployment is down at all. I think unemployment is up, but I think the numbers are skewed by gig economy. I totally agree with you. Either gig economy like Uber Eats and DoorDash, Uber, or just getting like multiple part-time jobs. I don't think that people are finding better full-time employment. Like, that is more efficient, better work. That's my hunch. At least that's what I see in my life. Work is work, of course it is, but pay is not pay. Like, pay, if we say work is work, which it is, pay is not pay in that same sense. Pay is very different. A full-time job where you have benefits and security versus gig work, very different fundamentally for the economy. And they should be viewed differently. Participants' views. Inflation elevated above 2%, says driven by tariffs expected. I wouldn't say that it is only driven by tariffs, though. But that could be a fault of Grok summarizing. Expected to ease gradually with waning effects. Continued housing services disinflation. Upside risks remain, but diminished for some. The labor market softened. Mixed recent indicators. Risks tilted to the downside amid low dynamism. I'll have to look that word up. Uncertainty from data delays. There it is. Economic activity moderate. Supported by consumption stronger for high income. That's definitely what we're seeing. I think a lot of the important metrics with everything we look at, whether it comes to employment, wages, all these things are a big formula, which is fine. But I think especially now, but it's always been true, is the top percents gaining more and the lower percents losing. Balancing out is like, okay, we're still seeing this growth, but the disparity is getting deeper. And I also think that that's very bad for economics. Where was economic activity moderate, supported by consumption higher income. Yep. Tech investment growth to accelerate in 26. Fiscal regulatory support. High uncertainty from AI and productivity. This is the big question for not just 26, but probably for the rest of the 2020s, maybe even farther. Is how deep are we going to play into AI? How much of everyone's money are we going to put in it? Because at this point, that's the question. It's not like if we'll put in everyone's money. We'll subsidize it. How much? And will it pay out? And will it pay out is a complicated question. Because not only does it have to be profitable, which I'm not sure it's proven to be profitable quite yet, it has to offset all the other losses, all the replaced jobs, all the replaced like productivity. It's a big gamble. It's a huge gamble. I don't know if I believe it. I absolutely believe in like general AI in the future. Totally. But I'm not sure that these LLMs, this is going back to my opinion, I'm not sure that these LLMs are going to pay out. And I have honestly very high confidence that they won't pay out to the tune of, what is it, like $1 trillion over the next 10 years? I doubt it. I don't know. Once earnings come out for the AI companies, they can't cover it up. But I think the problem, Ramen, is I think that we already know that they're not profitable right now. I don't think that's even the problem, right? Certainly that would be comforting, but I think we know that they're not. I think that that's like not a secret at this point, because it's the promise or the hope that it will, at scale and as this develops, be profitable. Not saying there's no profit to be made there, but the huge investment, the everybody's money investment is the question. Is that going to pay off? I don't know. Man. Nihilistic about it? I'm not. I think AI is absolutely part of the future. Just LLMs, I'm not sure is it. And even in like current iterations of any kind of AI, I'm just not sure is it. When it first came out, it seemed almost magical. And the more that I use these things, like, hopefully Grok's doing a good job right now of dissecting this. We're using it right now. Just the more problematic in ways I've seen it be. So, like, for instance, I'm probably not going to proof check this. I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to go read the whole notes and make sure it's right. It would just be a waste of time at this point. But that's the product that we're investing in, is like, just hope it's right. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting 2020s, my friends. Were you supposed to watch the FOMC right here in January? The FOMC is not live today. This is the FOMC minutes, a very important distinction. Chair Powell's not speaking today. I'd be curious, actually, to when he is speaking next. We're going over the FOMC minutes right now. I do not see Chair Powell speaking on the calendar. January 28th is the FOMC. I don't see him speaking until then. I'm sure he will speak in between then and now. But at the moment, I don't see him scheduled to speak anywhere. I should probably just look it up. The most bullish on you, Crypto Stevo. AI will reprice to its true value. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Just ask Grok if AI is good. Okay, let's plow through more of these minutes. This is participants' views. Most participants supported the 25 BP cut due to rising employment risks and declining inflation risks. I did say that I wonder if the cuts are related to employment and the Fed seeing unemployment continuing. I am surprised to see declining inflation risks, but that may honestly be a nod to, we just haven't heard Trump talk about in tariffs lately. That is a kind of 180 from the first half of this year. We heard it every day. Now we're not really hearing it as much. That might be what they're signaling, along with other things as well. Not solely that, but that could, it's an issue that they have pointed to all year. Could be in that factor. Some preferred no change and some preferred a 50 BP cut. Policy was data dependent, as they always say, and moving towards the neutral rate, as they say. Risk management. Balance elevated inflation and employment risks. Maintained anchored to their expectations. This is not really an important line. Their policy actions at the last meeting. They lowered the federal funds range from 3.5 to 3 3/4. 9 voted for the 25 cut. 2 were against the change, and 1 voted for 50 BP. So that's actually kind of a different picture than it painted before. Just 1 out of 13 voted for 50. 2 voted for no. 9 voted for yes. I'm surprised, honestly, that 9 voted yes. I think the Fed is looking at unemployment. I think the Fed is thinking this is going to be a big deal next year. And that's almost fundamental to AI, right? Whether or not it is, profitable or not, or whatever I think about it, the bet on AI is that it's replacing jobs. And when you replace jobs, what do you get? Unemployment. So in order for it to even work, it's like that has to happen. Let's see. Post-meeting statement emphasized moderate growth, slowed jobs, elevated inflation, which is interesting because that's kind of not what they just said. Elevated uncertainty and balance sheet action. So this is why I do hate AI, because AI just told us that different sentences here, how they viewed those different factors. Now it's saying the post-meeting statement emphasized moderate growth, slow jobs, elevated inflation, elevated uncertainty. And they had said previous that uncertainty had cooled. All right. Or maybe not. Maybe I said that. Okay. And balance sheet actions. Updated directive. Maintained the federal funds rate in the new range. Standing repo rates at 3.75. Reverse repos at 3.5. With limits, RMPs via treasury bills, rollovers, reinvestments into bills. The next meeting is the 28th. Attendance and notation vote for prior meetings included, as they always do. I think that did a pretty good job. Without reading the whole thing, it's impossible to know. Ask it to clarify. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Ask it to clarify the ending. Balance sheet. Actually, let's see if it gives me anything. We'll see. It's not a bad idea. Solana's down. Man, everything's down. We can look at some charts and stuff too. This went quicker than it usually does. Usually this takes like an hour. Nimoy, the person who voted 50, bought some knee pads, went to the Oval Office. Yeah, maybe that's going to be the next Fed chair. We'll see. Okay, it's going to clarify. Growth assessment. Economic activity was described as expanding at a moderate pace in 25. Wait, this is kind of what it already said. It's like reiterating. Slower than 24. Solid Q3 GDP growth, but moderation year to date. Oh, this is a little different. Okay. Private domestic final purchases, a signal of underlying momentum, rose faster than GDP, but slowed relative to the prior year. Federal government shutdown was expected to reduce Q4 GDP by about 1 percentage point, with a rebound in Q1 of 26, provided that we don't have another government shutdown in Q1 of 26. I have this weird feeling we will. Outlook and risks. Participants anticipated growth would accelerate in 26, supported by fiscal policy, regulatory changes, favorable financial conditions, and structural factors like AI-driven productivity gains, which could boost growth without inflationary pressures, but might dampen job creation. There we go. Uncertainty around the GDP forecast was high, with potential swings. Maybe that's the clarification. From the shutdown, complicating the trend assessment. Risks were seen as skewed to the downside due to softening labor markets and economic uncertainty. The rate cut was aimed to support strengthening economic activity in 26 by moving toward a more neutral stance. Job gains had slowed in 2025, with the unemployment rate gooning up to 4.4% in September. Payroll gains were slower in Q3, and other indicators pointed to gradual cooling. Labor markets dynamism. I still don't know what that means. I used it again. Slow. They must have specifically used that word. What does that word mean, chat? Do you guys know? What does dynamism? Where did it go? Here it is. dynamism. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I can guess what it means. I'll just Google it. What the hell? What the hell? Dynamism means great energy, force, and power, often seen as vigor, drive, or a capacity for continuous change. Wow, what a cool word. All right. Add that to the bank. Oh, wait, but that's not good. Labor market dynamism was low, meaning it didn't have that energy, reflecting subdued hiring, cost containment by businesses, and reduced labor supply. Lower immigration and aging population. Labor market was expected to stabilize in 26 under appropriate policy, but uncertainty was high, especially due to delayed government data releases. Risks were tilted to the downside. I feel like this is what I don't like often about AI is it'll make such a good sentence and it sounds great, but it'll just contradict itself. It'll be like uncertainty was high and risks were tilted to the downside. What? What do you mean? Potential fragility from rises in cyclical unemployment groups, possible sharp layoffs in a low hiring environment, job gains concentrated in less cyclical sectors. Lower income households were noted as particularly concerned about employment prospects. Policy actions was a 25 cut. Inflation had moved up since earlier in 25, remained somewhat elevated, with total and core PCE at 2.8% in September. Core services inflation had declined, but overall progress towards 2% had stalled over the past year. Here we go. We were arguing about this in the chat. Core services inflation had declined, but overall progress towards 2% had stalled. Progress towards 2% had stalled, meaning inflation did not continue to cool. And here we go. You stall over this year and you cut rates, and now we see these industry materials going up. I think that points to higher inflation in 26. Longer term expectations remain stable through near term measures had been alleviated. It is interesting that they expect inflation to hit 2% by 2028 in their staff projections. That is an interesting thought. I don't know if I would have expected that. Waning tariff effects, continued disinflation in housing and non-housing services, and a lot of it has to do with the AI productivity offsets. Yeah, this is really just reiterating. Yeah. I'm taking a minute from reading. Take a moment from reading. We have a great poll going on YouTube. Almost 1,500 votes here. What is the most bullish for 2026? Gold. Damn, gold up at number 1. Bitcoin at number 2. I mean, we are a Bitcoin kind of loving channel. It's weird to not see it at number 1. But interesting. Gold taking the cake, then silver, and then other. I wonder what the other responses were. Maybe AI, tech, something. Best fintertainment community on YouTube. That's right, brother. A little bit of entertainment, a little bit of little finance, and that's it. And not claiming to be the best of either, actually. Oh. Is anything moving? Monero? I mean, I'm always welcome to look at Monero. I'm always down. Platinum's your other vote. I was going to put platinum. If I could put like a fifth one, I would have put platinum. But you only get 4, and I wanted there to be another. We still haven't filled. 418 not filled yet on Monero. Does look like it's close, though. Holding on to a low here today. I wouldn't discount the entry at 418. I think this is looking good. Monero has miraculously looked good forever. Painted the flat top, broke out just below all-time high, pulling back, flipping, reversing, resistance to support. I think that's a clean play. I don't know. Is there going to be anything else that will back it up? We do have a little bearish divergence on our high. Not ideal. At the 20-day, I don't even want to know what Bitcoin's 20-day is. Obviously right above price, pushing it down. The week, still holding on to bearish divergence here on the week. Higher high in price, lower high in RSI. Perhaps building power for the break of all-time high, or perhaps signaling the tops in. I think either bet is legitimate. You can make the case. Money flow higher high in the week. I do love to see that, especially at and near all-time highs. Momentum waning a little bit, similar to RSI. But fundamentally, man, I don't know. I think it's the most bullish chart in crypto. Closed its highest monthly candle ever last month, November. I didn't even see that. Beautiful quarterly. I think Monero's set up. I don't really understand how Monero could like continue on to all-time highs, right? Like into Q1. If Bitcoin and crypto are hurting, I don't really know how that would work. But crazier things have happened. Could happen. You'd like to see the spot titanium chart, Mr. Pooch? Sure. Titanium. There's another one. Tits. Don't got it. Titanium. Bullish. I am bullish on tits in 26. Not real tits though. AI tits, because I thought I spelled it right. Titanium. I'll have to look up the ticker. Titanium OJ. There's no single spot. You can find titanium. Titan. Titanium emoji? That's a terrible chart. There is none. Apparently there is none. Yeah, you can just do like titanium related stocks. That's weird. Doesn't there have to be though? What do you mean there's no price for spot titanium? Then what does it sell for? I don't know. Titan. Yeah, I don't know. This is weird. This is not titanium spot though. This is like a Finnish company on the OMEX exchange. I don't know. It looks like reversal to me though. Maybe. Unfortunately, titanium. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Next week will be crazy full moon. All right. I can use all of that hopium. We need all the hopium, guys. Anything. Here's 𝐂𝐧. 𝐂𝐧 has hit the take profit. Let's go. Another 35%er on the old 𝐂𝐧-a-roon. We've hit 527. We've closed a day above it. Today's sell-off brought us back to 527. This is not looking bad at all. Actually, it looks pretty good. Looking for a bullish cross of the 20 and 50 daily on 𝐂𝐧. This is where I was expecting it to reverse if it was going to reverse, like right around 525, maybe 550. Ooh, weekly. 𝐂𝐧's got the VWAP coming up, breaking over the zero line. Momentum pinching here on the week. A green close on the week for 𝐬𝐸, likely going to set it up for continuation, I would say. Look at these monthly moving averages. 20 crossing the 100 right now. This RSI looks like gold. RSI is all the way up to 92 on the monthly. That's bonkers. Look at 𝐬𝐸/BTC. Let's take a look at 𝐬𝐸/USD. Hit its high in November, pulled back, really mirroring the USD pair, I guess, or USD's mirroring this. Building. A break of 𝐬𝐸/BTC above its November high. Going to be a very strong signal for the USD pair. That it's heading back to its higher to 900. This is a pretty interesting move. So signaling a 70% move against Bitcoin if it breaks its November high. %70 brings you right back to all-time high. I mean, there it is. I'll make this call. If we see 𝐬𝐸/BTC break its November high, I think 𝐬𝐸/USD is hitting 900, hitting its previous all-time high, or the all-time high that I choose to take. It's previous all-time swing high. It traded higher, but it only traded down from higher. So I don't know if I count that. I think that's looking good. Looking good. Waiting for the 𝐬𝐸/BTC signal to lead the way. Never would have guessed that Monero and 𝐬𝐸 at the end of this year would be the charts I was looking at. Waiting for the new Fed popium. Let's get them. Okay. How and why have you not retired? Because look at Bitcoin. It's at 88,000, brother. What would I do if I retired? No, I can't retire yet. What would I do? If Bitcoin hits $1 million, I'll retire. There you go. What else can we look at today? We did do the FOMC minutes. That's good. Got that out of the way. I've been live like an hour and change. What else should we look at? Clash looks terrible. I don't know. I assume you guys are no longer even watching this. That's fair. XRP's held its low, dude. There's nothing to look at in the crypto space. Like it's brutal. It's so brutal. And then you go to stocks like indices, and it's also like, you know, what exactly do you talk about? You're at it. You hit all-time high, pull back, you're at a higher low. Like looking to close the year at an all-time high. Okay, sure. That RSI, that bear div is getting heavy though. Look at these lower lows on RSI and higher highs. Get that weekly. It's not quite a swing rejection, but weekly. It's pretty brutal. Mind you, though, and this is what I say when Bitcoin is in an uptrend, and I'll apply this to stocks as well. People will come to me and say, "Oh, look at the weekly bear div. Look at the monthly bear div. You know, look at these things." And I say, "Well, they're there, and you know, you're not crazy. They're there." But here's the thing: is typically like in price discovery and a bullish trend, you just can't count on them to give reversal signals. You really can't. The S&P, literally the entire rally, all of this year, all these all-time highs, every single one on the week has had bearish divergence. And you actually, it goes back farther than that. It's not even just this year. All the way back from March of 2024, you have had bear div on the week the entire time. Eventually it will play out. Eventually, you know, the top will be in and the bear div will go, "Oh, look, there's bearish divergence. It went down." But this entire time, since March of 24, we have had lower highs on the week, and we have had higher highs on price. Had you immediately gotten out as soon as you had bear div on the week, you would have been out July 24th, down here at 5,600. You'd have missed out on 22%. Technically, you could have been like, well, I'm about the bottom, and I perfectly went back in, sure. But then you would have had bear div all the way up again. It's just not that simple. Eventually, it will, in hindsight, be correct. But holy shit, look at that. Just the whole way. Somebody poke Bitcoin with a stick, please. By the way, make sure you've joined our Discord, discord.gg/TomCrown. It's pinned to the top of the chat on YouTube. It's free. It's a great place to be. Great place. Loves to waste time, yeah, dude. Jerome speaking? No, Jerome's not speaking today. Unless I have really dropped the ball, and somehow he is, but no, he's not. Not today. The minutes have already come out. Unemployment claims come out tomorrow, the last day of the year. I can look up Fed calendar, but no. Speeches, those are speeches, Chirpio from, no, not 2006. Maybe this is maybe this is only speeches in the past. Testimony, calendar. Next. Nothing. I don't think he has anything scheduled. The next time we know for sure Powell speaks is at the FOMC the 28th of January. No better time than now to learn to trade. That is true. Now is the best time. There's really no FOMO. There's no like emotion right now. It's just sideways. Good time. Kind of a moment of clarity. Hone in on those skills. It's not a bad idea. Sol didn't even get the all-time high in October, September. It has held on. Quarterly has held on to the low, 125. I said maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, not a bad close for Sol if it can wrap the year up at 125 or above. It's certainly not a phenomenal close, but it is a decent enough close to look for a reversal into Q1. 190, maybe as high as 200, 210. You really just don't want to see it close lower than this. This is like the midpoint close support on the month. I really do think that Sol will do this, like into the next few months, back to 190. But that's kind of where it gets sketchy, right? It's the same as Bitcoin returning to like 108 or 110. It's like that's where it gets sketchy, because then maybe you're looking at this. I got a big ass diamond. It's definitely not what you want. You don't want a big old diamond right at the top of your range. BNB, how BNB fell. I mean, it didn't really fall, but this was on fire in October. 1,300, blasting all-time highs. BNB had like the best. Did it have the best bull run of this cycle? That's such shit. It went 100% from its 2021 high, 700 to 1,400. That would have been 140 for Bitcoin, 8-ish thousand for Ethereum. That's crazy. There's still maybe upside. If Bitcoin does hit all-time highs in Q1, I think BNB will too. Starving for some action. Sol's Dunzo. Could be. Silver can be used to predict trends. No, I think silver will follow trends. Same. I mean, like literally, we saw gold break out and then silver. So, if anything, shouldn't we say gold over silver? Oh, my Litecoin. You think you're doing bad? At least you're not. At least you don't have as much Litecoin as I do. Probably why I'm not retired. If that had all been Bitcoin, that wouldn't have made a difference. All right. Yeah, all right. This is the day. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. You should sign up with our exchange partner, BYDFi. BYDFi. No KYC. Worked with them for like 2 years now. Trust them as much as I can trust the centralized exchange. They've got everything you need. If you sign up, it will help support this channel. You'll also get VIP roles in the Discord if you do, which is a fancy deal. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is for tomorrow. Streaming wise, it is Wednesday. We usually stream on Wednesday. It is New Year's Eve tomorrow, and then it is the first of the year. I imagine I'll be a little hungover the first of the year. So maybe we should stream tomorrow. I don't know. Stay tuned for the answer there. If you're in the Discord, you'll know for sure. If Bitcoin gets exciting or crypto gets exciting, for sure we'll be live, no doubts. Keep an eye on 𝐬𝐶, Monero. Most of all, have a happy new year. And celebrate it with friends. Have a good time. Hopefully something will happen. I have good hopes. I have strong conviction that 2026 will be a better year than this year. Because this year was not a great year. Next year is our year. 26 is our year. I feel it in my bones. I appreciate you tuning in for the FOMC minutes. We will be live for the FOMC on the 28th of January. If I don't see you before the New Year's, Happy New Year. I love you guys.